Yo, can y'all hear me? Yo, can y'all hear me? All right, good. Checking on the audio. What's going on, everybody? This is another episode of the Take It Home podcast. Hope you guys are having a wonderful Thursday. Hope you guys are having a wonderful evening. This is a topic that I wanted to talk about that came up out of the blue yesterday because of, um, I guess, a controversial shirt. And for one of the guys that is on the panel was talking about it and heel heat and everything like that. So I got to thinking that what two guys could I have on here who is a master at it, and him being one of it, and C Red being another. So I do have them in the back. I will add them shortly. I do want to put the tagline at the bottom so people can understand what exactly we're talking about today. Real quick, I'll go into the things because I don't want to take up a lot of their time today. This weekend is True Privilege Wrestling presents a Way to May. It's the Way to May. I'm sorry, excuse me. It's going to be a great show in Maywood. I returned to Maywood. It's going to be dope. Next week we have Run Apple APL. I know I say their name wrong, but I believe it's Run Apple Game Day Sports Bar in Wisconsin, Appleton, Wisconsin. Is going to be a dope thing. And then a little over a month away, we have 10, the show of all shows. It's going to be a dope show. You guys do not want to miss it. It's one of the most important shows of this year. Bless you, Cam. What do you want? What's up, Cam?
I say hi.
Okay, hold on, Cam. Hey. I also want to give a thanks to our sponsor, Limelight Comics. They have our back and everything like that. Also, I want to give a shout out to Young Expressions. So a penny for your thoughts for always having my back, regardless of anything with the show. Looking at you, C Red. I also want to thank ECUEA Urban, East Chicago Urban Entertainment Enterprise Academy. I'm sorry, tongue twister, for allowing us to award the honor roll students with free tickets for good grades and everything like that. So it's also a wonderful thing. I am about to add the guest on. Give me 1 second. Say hey, Cam. Let's say hi to everybody. All right. Let's see. Get the right background. There we go. How
Man, F them kids.
Man. Here we go. Then already started.
Already. F them kids.
Already.
I live this lifestyle from beginning to end. I woke up healing. I go to sleep healing. F them kids.
I can't say that. I like my job.
Yeah.
That's why I work with animals. I don't like kids.
I work with animals too, so you just work with dogs.
I wrestle with animals, so I think we all have something.
I got animals.
So, first and foremost, what's going on, guys?
Nada.
Tired out here for a pimp.
I understand.
Tired out.
So, individually, I want to ask. There's no rush. The question of the day: what makes a great heel?
You want to go first, Red?
I'll let you go first.
Well, my answer is very simple. Somebody who is not afraid to be booed. Somebody who craves being booed. Somebody who does not lose sight of their status or their position on the show as a heel and don't want to go ahead and screw the lining up, trying to play a role that they ain't supposed to be in. If that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
For me, somebody just don't give a damn. And when you go out there, you have a job to do. You know, so my job is to get heat. You know, now what makes a great heel is you have to know your surroundings, you have to know your crowd, and you also have to know the limitations.
I
Each
wouldn't know
company is
about
different.
limitations. I would definitely say know your crowd, know your
No, because
surroundings.
again, there are some companies that guess what? You're not allowed to cuss. You're not allowed to give up the middle finger. I mean, so you have to know your limitations. You
Well,
can't
see,
go
and
out
then
there and
again, in
do
my
that.
day, those were called cheap heat. So
I mean,
if you
yeah,
have nothing to do besides use vulgarities or stick up your middle finger, then you ain't a very good heel to begin with to start.
I agree. I agree. But there are some companies, you know, they got sponsors, you know,
Yeah, yeah.
regardless to, you know, what you say, you know, they're not trying to lose sponsors.
For
And,
sure.
you know, because guess what? Essentially, that's money in your pocket too. So, you know, you ain't trying to come up short, you know, at the end of the night because the sponsor say, hey, I'm done, you know, I'm good. So but yeah, you gotta know all of that. You know, you gotta know the room. You have to know the room. You know, you can't go out there and you know, I've seen faces flop, I've seen heels flop, and it's worse than fingernails on the blackboard. Like it makes me cringe every time. Like, how do you not know your job? How do you not know, you know, how
Well,
to get
it's
under
more
people?
common now than it used to be in the day because you got a lot of people who, once again, and I said this last week, who have grown up on the WWE's lackluster, instantaneous gratification style of booking. Um, you got guys who don't understand that a heel true position is to be booed because they've grown up watching Stone Cold Steve Austin or Randy Orton or whatever heel of the day get booed for half a second, and then within the next week or the next 2 weeks, the crowd is popping like crazy.
So do we blame WWE or do we blame the fans? Because sometimes, what about like the fans that
No, you
love?
blame the worker because the worker is ultimately is in control of the tempo of the crowd. There's been times where I've gotten pops, or you get that one more time pop if you do something for a crowd. And if you know your role as a heel, you know how to turn that situation from, oh, these people are popping for me, into, oh, I need to get them to boo for me. So most people like to feed into that. Most workers will feed into that whole mentality, lose sight of the fact that, hey, my job here is to be booed, and we'll go into it doing stuff to appease the crowd. That's not your role as a heel. Definitely not your role.
It's you control the crowd doesn't control you.
Mm-hmm.
And the sad thing about it is that most of these places, a lot of these places where a lot of these guys have been trained, in quotation trained, because you can be trained in the business but never be smartened up. And there are a lot of guys who have been trained in the business and have never been smartened up as far as what their overall role is, as far as their character is, as far as their position on the show, as far as who they are to begin with. So you got a lot of guys that come into these shows trying to perpetrate like, oh, let me do my best Jeff Hardy impression, or let me do my best Randy Orton or Undertaker impression, and they have no clear view of who they are as a character. You can't go in and say that, oh, I'm wrestling JoJo McSmokey tonight. Well, who's JoJo McSmokey? Oh, he's Even Colder 316.
Yeah.
I think Atlas hit it on the head for most guys. They don't know who their character is. I heard Atlas say if it wasn't last week, it was the week before. You know, well, what's your character? And they tell you it's them, and it's
Well, who
like
are you?
you know, Okay, and what that's the first thing I do when I wrestle somebody I've never wrestled. Okay, what's your character? Again, 9 times out of 10, I'm coming in as a heel, so I already know my role. But what's your character? I need to know so I can adapt.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I'm just gonna go out there and mollywop you. And I'm still gonna get the heat while I'm mollywopping. But it depends on you. You have to tell me who you are. If I say I'm wrestling Chris Classic, okay, I already know. He thinks he's the alpha. He thinks he's the modern day superhero. Okay, I already know what to do. Okay, all right, cool. But if I'm wrestling Joe Blow and he just stands there and he's like, "Well, I'm Joe Blow."
He got a wrestling background and he knows jujitsu.
Dude, but that's what ticks me off is that there are so many guys, as Atlas constantly puts it, trained. Yeah, you can do all these great moves. That's wonderful. But you don't know your character. You don't know how to talk on the mic. You don't know how to work a room and work a crowd.
When you get out in front of the crowd, the only thing that you do is pay attention to the match and don't act like there's nobody sitting in front of the crowd watching you. Yeah.
Don't even go there. Don't, dude. So I watched The Baby a month ago. 400 people in the crowd. And not one time did he acknowledge the crowd. And I had to sit back and wonder, are you here? Now I know he's a baby because the heels were doing their job. But I'm like, not one time in the 7 to 10 minute match they had did he acknowledge the crowd. Not one time did he try to get the crowd behind him. And I'm like, oh my God. So you just made the heel's job so much easier. I wish I was in that match. Because made it more easy for me. Night off. I mean, there are so many things when it comes to being a great heel that you have to know. Like Atlas says, if the crowd is chanting one more time, if you just chop the guy and they're chanting one more time,
and if you as a heel do that one more, whatever they're asking for one more time, you have failed for the night. And if I was the booker on the show, you would never work for me again.
You don't give the crowd what they're chanting. No, my job is to make you hate me. So I'm going to make you hate me. And I've been hated to the point where I've been ran off. I've been scared for my life. And at the end of the night, once I've gotten back in my domain safely, I've said I did my job well.
There's no greater feeling than having D-cell batteries whipped at your head or causing a mild riot from just working the mic.
Mm-hmm. I think that what I do see with a lot of wrestling matches, and not just WWE, but like other companies, independents everywhere, is that like I do see the heel working to get a fight forever chant or have like a well-balanced match. They're not doing small things and antics to get, like you said, to get booed and stuff like that. And then everybody's just proud of the match, the fans and things like that. And it's just like the match is going along and things like that. And they're not really like, I don't want to say cheating, but doing evil stuff to like get things.
And that's another thing we talk about too, that we got that whole fight forever, the whole everybody is now trying to do their best imitation of a Japanese strong style match. And then the epitome of that, the epitome of all that style is the fight forever chant. Like, that people actually want to see you fight forever. And the whole thing about it is, when did we lose sight of what American wrestling is, or the American side of things, when you could actually go out there and have a match, tell a story, know the psychology of a match, and get it over without having this long, drawn out, back and forth comic style battle that doesn't look realistic, where you've taken 90 different finishers and you kicked out of every one of them, but at the same token, your finish is a punch
that they miss sometimes. That they miss sometimes. You have to add that dash of parsley in that. Is that the finisher is a strike that either goes over the head or no contact at all, and the person bumps for it.
But not to mention, you've already taken 6 super kicks, 4 stunners, 2 spears, a power bomb, and you've done a dive to the outside, but your finish is a strike that you've missed, but you kicked out all the rest of that stuff.
Yeah, and you didn't sell those moves after you kicked out at 2. After the Fight Forever chance, you sold none of that. But you're going to sell that partial knee that grazes your forehead. You're going to sell that.
And die after you take it. Just flat out. Just...
Funeral services are next week.
Right. So, yes, me as a heel, if I see any of those things during a match, if I see a face doing the stereotypical face clap, let's go type thing, I will go above and beyond out of my way to go ahead and get heat. Now, Joseph Credit, he mentioned that the whole thing that started this is Britt Baker's newest shirt, where she's sporting her fancy shiner that she received from the Outcast. And me personally, I would wear that shirt. Joseph said he was not a fan of that because he is a black man, would not feel comfortable wearing a T-shirt with a white woman's face with a black eye in it. Look, I wear a T-shirt with a white woman with 2 black eyes and a busted lip. I'm that kind of guy, and I wear to church.
But I get Joseph's stand from a personal side, and I think that's more where he's coming from. But if you watched Wednesday night and Jericho coming down, and more or less it's him bragging, look what I did.
Mm-hmm.
Look what I did to your woman. And if you heard him on commentary, like, he didn't even make it about her. He made it about Adam Cole.
Mm-hmm.
When he said, what kind of man are you, and you can't even stand up and protect your woman? But we all knew from the previous week they had handcuffed Adam Cole.
Mm-hmm.
So he couldn't. But he ran down Adam Cole so bad. And it's like, okay, I love it. I love it.
So this is a prime example of this type of storytelling that I get mad at people when they say that AEW doesn't know how to run shows or they don't have to do this. If you looked at that one program between all those guys, there were 2 different angles that were advanced just from that one short thing. When was the last time that you seen WWE advance any storylines, let alone 2 storylines at the same time, in a way that was not their formulaic insert here, let's go ahead and have an interview through the talk show and then have the whole Donnie Book breakdown after the talk show into something else. You get tired of the formulaic insert move here, insert person here type of booking, and WWE has trained a lot of the guys that we see now, a lot of guys that we work with, a lot of guys that have entered into the business, a lot of guys that have exited out of the business, have trained them to believe that that's the way that you handle a program. That's the way that you advance a storyline. This is the closest thing that I've seen to an old school NWA blood feud in a long time. NWA used to have blood feuds where you would have a guy come to a guy's house, or if you, and Red will remember this one. Remember what happened when they thought that Junkyard Dog was blinded?
Yeah.
Oh my God, the heat that was behind that. JYD wore glasses for 6 months and walked around like he was blind to get that heat. That's the type of heat that I'm talking about, though. Heels nowadays are afraid to allow their character. You're so quick to say that this character is me, but yet when they go out into the real world, they want to go ahead and separate that and be everybody's friend. They want to shake hands. They want to kiss the babies. They want to go ahead and hug people's moms. But if you look at the way that the Freebirds or Ric Flair or Terry Gordy or any of those guys acted back in the day, they did the exact same thing outside the ring that they did inside the ring. So when Joseph said that I'm not trying to get that type of heat, are you really trying to be in the wrestling business? Because if you're really in the wrestling business, if you're anything besides the WWE, you are expected to be that character. And Red will tell you where we were trained. You were trained that from the moment you step out of the thing, of wherever you are in that audience, in front of that audience, you are that character. And you are that character no matter whether you're wrestling, no matter you're sitting in a crowd, no whether you're in the dressing room, no matter whether you walk into your car, you are that character. And a lot of people don't understand that character is supposed to be a despicable person.
Mm-hmm. Well,
I want that heat. Give me that shirt. I want it.
Well, to be fair, majority of the time, not all the time, majority of the time, Joseph is a face. And I know that he doesn't really add like a lot of fans and things like that. And that kind of goes into my other point as well, is that some, especially heels, they do a great job with hiding or not having giving everybody access to their personal page compared to their worker page. You get what I'm saying? But
or you could be the type of person like I am and be that person where you don't need to necessarily have a workers page or a secondary page, because if you know what your role is, you can play your role whether you're doing an interview, whether you're walking down the street, whether you're not. I can be who I am and draw the same amount of heat that I would be if I'm walking out the door. I get heel pops just from walking in from work. I could probably get a heel pop right now.
Yeah, but it's like you said, like even then, like I'm not on Twitter a lot, and I do see like a lot of wrestlers who are heels. They do try to explain that it's just a character they portray, and that's I remember Britt being a heel when she did that match. Was it a cage match against Thunder Rosa and stuff like that? People left comments to her and about the match, about like certain things, and she felt that she had to open and pour her heart out on social media, being one of the heels, one of the top women heels in the company and stuff like that. So
people try to say face when they're supposed to be a heel, thinking that if they go ahead and identify with the fan, it's going to sell merchandise. I'm not worried about selling merch, because if I'm a heel and I'm doing what I need to do, my merch will sell itself because I'm drawing heat.
My thing is this: kayfabe is dead. That's sad. We grew up, as Atlas put it, during a time. He brought up JYD. For me, my moment is the Road Warriors turning on Dusty and putting a spike in Dusty's
eye.
And Dusty walked around with that eye patch on for months.
Yep.
For months. And see, that's the other problem to me, is that we want quick turnarounds.
Instant gratification.
That's why, for me, I love Roman Reigns at this moment, because this has been going on for years at this point. When's the
What, the
last
fact that
time
he's been
that
not
you've
been
seen
profitable?
this? That because normally it's programmed for you start the program on Monday. You got 2 weeks to get it over, and then the pay-per-view is the 4th week, and then you on to the next one. And it's like, but I was really enjoying that one. Like, why do we have to have somebody like, and on the independent side, it's the same thing. Most places, I will say with C3, they get it. They understand. But most places, you to heal this month and you done tow up somebody, you done lay them laying, and then the next month you got a new opponent. The guy you left laying, he wrestling in the opener. He don't come out. He don't say nothing about getting laid out by you or you cheating. It's just over. It's supposed to be a forgotten thing. Most companies don't like you. If this is a heel, your whole job, let's be honest, it's a story, right? The art of storytelling. And everybody wants to see the good guy ride off into the sunset at the end of the day on the white horse, right?
If he's a good guy. If he's a good
guy. But 9 times out of 10, when he gets shot by the bad guy on most sides, we just move on to the next story. Like, okay, well, where's the new good guy? Oh, the bad guy's still there, but like there's no solidarity in telling a good story. Where guess what? If I'm a super heel, okay, well, guess what? 6 months, a year, if we can draw it out, then yeah, I should get my head knocked off a year later.
Mm-hmm.
All the stuff that I've done.
But see, that's another thing that I talked to about last Wednesday, as far as the there's nothing I talked to last Wednesday as far as the slow burn. A lot of companies and a lot of promoters don't understand what the slow burn is. What you were just talking about, what you were just touching upon, was a building, a culmination of storytelling as far as the heel is concerned. No heel immediately starts out as a super heel. Okay, you have to do a certain amount of things, and then there's really every face in every company is only as good. It will only get as much pops as the most over heel in that company. If you don't have any heels that are truly over in that company, you can come out there and give somebody $100 bills. Ain't nobody gonna cheer. So it all boils down to psychology, knowing how to get certain reactions out of people without doing overtly obvious things. Like we were talking about before, low-hanging fruit of heel work, cussing at people, throwing up the middle finger, doing, just doing anything that's just outwardly easy. You know what's harder to do? Finding somebody that's on their cell phone in the middle of a show, in the middle of your match, getting them off the phone and getting them interested in your match. When you can do that, you got it.
Yeah,
so you can do that. Nah. Because I see that happen a lot. You go to any independent show in this area, in Texas, anywhere, because of the instant gratification that people and then the low attention span that people have now. Everyone wants to do the same formulaic crap. You're going to see 90 belly to belly, overhead belly to bellies. You're going to see dives to the outside. You're going to see super kicks and everything else. And the crowd will get tired of it. So 9 times out of 10, if you look at as a worker, and this is something that irks the hell out of me, when you have younger guys who don't even pay attention to the crowd. If I'm out in the crowd and I know that I've seen this one person in a crowd before I go out and they're on their phone like this and they're not paying attention to nothing that's going on, I'm working that person. I'm going directly to that person. I'm kicking their chair. I'm pulling them out of their chair. I'm taking their phone.
Interaction has always been like a big thing. Even me as like being like a super face. This is always just like trying to get people's attention and things like that. You know, if you do it well, then you can have them on the edge of their seats and things like that. I think that some of the people, they worry too much about missing their sequences and routines.
Yo, I missed my spot. Did you? I missed my spot. I'm supposed to come in. You're supposed to duck two, watch the super kick, duck two super kicks, and then take the spear.
And that's why I even remember what you said last week, and you were saying that, like, you know, you don't really just say let's do this and that and that. We just go out and we just do it. And
9 times out of 10, I've been doing this 26 years. 9 times out of 10, I have no clue what I'm going. Now, what I do, and what I suggest most younger guys in the business do, if you've never worked a specific person, find something on the internet. Find something that they do. Find something that you, even if they're younger guys and they don't necessarily know what their move set is, find something. Give them something so that way you can talk them into a situation, or give them a situation where, okay, give you a great for instance. All vets will ask somebody if they're working somebody younger than them. The first question that they ask is, well, what do you know how to do? Okay. Usually I like to familiarize myself with whoever I'm working so that way that question never gets answered. Because usually with younger guys, the psychology part is missing. So that way, even if they do tell you what they do or what they can do, it ain't going to make sense in the pacing of a match. Because 9 times out of 10, what they do is a different version of somebody's finish that you're going to kick out of, or it's going to miss, or it's going to don't make sense in the placement of the overall match, or is not going to draw the type of reaction that they think it's going to draw. So usually as a veteran, it's a good idea to go ahead and familiarize yourself with whoever you're working, and then keep it simple, stupid. So, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Did I dumbfound you, Red? You sitting there like, man, like
no.
My man sitting there like, you know.
No, because again, this is an easy thing, yet it's so complicated. And I think it's complicated because people make it complicated. Again, the thing Atlas touched on earlier was, let's be honest, this all started here in Chicago, WrestleMania 13, Austin versus Hart. That's where this started, because Austin went in as a heel and walked out as a face, and they couldn't justify it. So from now on, Austin was that tweener. He just, whether he was he was supposed to be heel, he still had a crowd that just wanted to cheer for him, right? And that sucks. If I'm a heel, I don't want you to cheer for me. Matter of fact, I'm going to make you stop cheering and talk more stuff till you start booing. But I think this new thing, people just, you know, they want the accolades, or you guys
Cheer
touched
for
on
me.
early.
Be my friend.
You
I
guys
want
touched
you to
on
cheer.
earlier.
Cheer. She's gonna cheer
Merch.
cheer for me.
You guys touched on earlier. Merch. And I tell people all the time, if I'm doing my job as a heel, nobody's gonna buy my stuff. And that's how I want it. If I'm a heel, if I know I'm going in as a heel, 9 times out of 10, I don't even take my merch. Because your job is to hate me. Why would I then go out during intermission? I just killed your hero. And now I'm going to stand there. Hi, buy my 8x10. Hi, buy my coloring book.
Shake my hand.
See,
Shake my hand.
Psychology. There's a way you can do that, and I've seen it done.
And there, dude, I've done it rare on those rare occasions, but it's to the point now. It's like I'd rather not even be seen. You see what I'm saying? Because my thing is, fans go to the show. I believe, like when we went to shows and we watched shows, for 2 to 3 hours, you're going to, like you watch a movie, you're going to suspend all belief in reality and you're going to be entertained. Well, my job is to make you hate me. I'm the villain. So guess what? Once I done did some villain-ish stuff, you don't need to see me to the end. You don't need to see me. Now, if there's a situation and like I've had situations where guess what? Like I love making kids cry. Oh, I love making kids cry.
Oh, that ain't that the best thing ever?
I have
ain't that the best thing? Well, I make no bones about it. When I say that I kick a little kid in the chest, I wholeheartedly mean it. I will kick a little kid dead in his chest, rolling up on me, and I don't care if your mom is there to see it.
I've rolled up on kids to the point where they are tore up for the rest of the night, and I literally. At that point, because I do honestly, genuinely love kids, then I'll come out after a show and make sure that kid is all right. Because I don't want that kid to But I've made old women hate. Oh my God, rest in peace, Grandma Manson. When I first met her down in the Grant Park, Illinois. And I said everything I said to her. And she looked at and like her whole family couldn't believe that I just told this 80-something-year-old, she might have been 90 at that point. I'm not sure. I said all the stuff I said to her. They were like they were mad. The only thing that saved me was she stuck up her middle finger. And I was like, oh, okay. All right, so now it's on and popping. Okay, I got somebody I can work with. But that's the thing. Again, know your crowd. Some people don't do, oh my God, same show. And I know this is going to sound so racist. But there was a spot where Atlas knows how to work a worker's kiss. And I gave this Caucasian valet, I was going to give her a worker's kiss. The security guard did not know it was a work. And he thought I was getting ready to attack this woman and just take her down right there in the middle of the ring. And if you don't believe me, as anybody that was on that show, this dude came out of nowhere. He stood there like he was Thor. We called him Black Thor. Because, dude, he just popped out of nowhere. Like, he was getting ready to ransack and tear us all apart. And I'm like, I'm looking back like, this wasn't in the spot. Like, where this dude come from? Like, who talked this out? Like, okay, all right. But again, by that time, I got the crowd hating us. I'm good. So we just walked out. But most of these cats don't read the room. They don't. It's so simple when somebody has a sign with your name on it. Why is it so hard to go read the sign, rip it up in their face? But you don't.
Or something that I like to do, if you're selling 8x10s and somebody happens to buy an 8x10 and it's before the intermission, and they want you to sell 8x10, you rip it up in their face.
No, the best one, like if I'm working Chris and they got Chris's 8x10, I know I can get Chris to give him another one. So I'm going to rip that one. Like, it's easy. Now they're upset because they feel you've ripped up their hard-earned money. But folks, these cats today, they want spot. Oh, yeah, I'm the bad guy.
And dive. Spot, dive. Spot.
Then spot.
Tell the crowd shut up one time. Just one time to establish that you are the bad guy. Just that's it. After that, you got to remember everything else. You got to remember everything.
But dude, why telling the crowd to shut up is easy, but yet you've got to follow it up. It ain't a one-time thing. But that's what some cats don't do. Oh, shut up. And and it's like, okay, they're gonna get louder. How about you keep telling them to shut up? How about, okay, they don't shut up. You say you walking out the building, and that's simple tricks. Simple. Well, folks don't utilize it anymore. Again, it's shut up. Spot. Dive.
Yeah.
Spot.
And that's one of the main reasons why I don't like talking out any of my matches beforehand, because 80% of what I do out there is working the crowd. I talk more, even while working, I talk more crap to the crowd than I do ever talking to my opponent. If I'm talking to my opponent, it is used as a vehicle to get heat from the crowd.
Dude, 9 times out of 10, and Chris can attest to this, especially at C3. I'm in my John Cena stage at this point in my life, even though I don't like Cena. You gonna catch me do 4 or 5 moves. That's it. The rest of it, I'm using what brought me to the dance, and that's my mouth. And I know how to work the crowd. I know how to work a room. Again, my job is to, as a heel, my job is to get the baby over. To make the people feel empathy and sympathy. You can't do that if you sitting up there and you like, okay, whatever. Spot. What Brandon say?
You're some face to be beaten on. No, you don't. I don't need a convincing face. That is the most ridiculous statement. I don't look. I can have a match against this chair right here. I can get pops out of this chair. I don't need somebody to convince me, because 9 times out of 10, there are no convincing faces. There are 9 times out of 10, most of the guys in this business right now, in the state of, if we look at the state of professional wrestling, indie professional wrestling right now, there ain't too many guys that's convincing, period. Let's be real. So while you talking about having somebody be a convincing anything, you got to know how to go ahead and convince me that you know how to wrestle first before you can tell me whether if you a face or a heel.
But he's saying just like the aspect of it. Even like he said, the sympathy, like, you know, how you can get people behind the face because they feel bad for the face because the face is getting beaten up. So they want the face to have like the last hoorah and stuff like that. And I agree with you. As much as we're talking about heels, there's like, I don't want to say it's a drought, but it's somewhat of a drought of like straight, great, like uber faces. You get what I'm saying? So,
but you know why? Again, same. Everybody, we are in a state right now where everybody is trying to get themselves over.
Yeah.
Everybody. Now, again, there are shows that I've been to recently where guess what? It wasn't about the person. It was about their opponent. And they did their job and everything went well. Yet I've been at a few shows lately where, like I just told you, dude, there's a story. I know you're a face. I know this side is the heel. I understand that. But you gave me no reason. And I've said it. I tried to say it to his face. I said it to his partner's face. It was bullshit.
mm-hmm.
Because you gave me as a fan no reason to feel anything behind you. I felt more for the heels and wanted to see the heels whoop your butt more than I did you trying to baby up and make this big comeback. No. And I said the match on that aspect sucked. I should, as a fan, I should never feel that. I should want the baby to rise to the occasion. But this particular show, the baby didn't. And I was like, okay, whatever, you know, like, and that's the thing. This is a dance. And I'm only as good as my dance partner.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of get what Brandon is saying, because if I just whooped up on my baby face, if I'm doing it all, and this dude, like you said, I just hit him with a finisher, which should be a finisher, and now the dude nips up and he bouncing off all the ropes and jumping to the top rope and flipping off and. No, dude, you just killed everything.
So
now
I can't
now
necessarily.
I gotta go grab a chair and I gotta main. I gotta main.
I see. I can't necessarily agree with it. I've wholeheartedly believe that it is the heel's responsibility to get the match over, because if you are not garnishing any type of hate at all, at any type of heat at all, you could have somebody. I mean, you could have two faces go out there and just have a wrestling match. It's the emotion of the whole experience that draws people to what we're doing. And if you don't have someone that's over enough as a heel to get the crowd to care enough about what they're doing to even boo, you can have somebody go out there and, you know, who's, I mean, I think it's less on the face than it is on the heel. The face has less responsibility unless he is like a Hogan type face, unless he's already an established over face. But you don't really have that many over unestablished faces in the business that you can rely to carry a program. Any program, in professional wrestling is going to be carried by the heel. So 9 times out of 10, you're going to need someone who is a good enough heel to get that heat, to get someone to care about what the hell they're doing. Like The Miz, The Miz as a face would not work, because nobody cares enough about him to cheer for him. But The Miz as a heel is great because The Miz as a heel can draw upon different aspects of his personality to use psychology to get the heel heat that he needs to carry any program. You want to see like Red was saying, the heel's job is to make sure that they want to see him get his head beat in. And it don't matter who does it, because that's right now where we are with Roman Reigns. It don't matter who beats Roman. It's just that Roman gets beat. You don't have anybody who is equal enough of a face on that side of the brain, on that side of the roster, to match what he's bringing to the table on the heel side. So it's up to him to carry any program. Whoever they marry Roman with next, you will definitely see that. Cody Rhodes was the only person on the WWE roster who had enough face heat to go ahead and, that and Sami Zayn, to carry a program. Nobody else on the roster, period, right now, has enough psychological heat to draw any type of focus to a program. And that's the same thing that you have at most of these companies. You have a lot of these guys who are cookie cutter heels that come in doing the same type of crap and wondering why they ain't drawing anything, because you ain't did anything different. But then you got a whole bunch of kids who claiming to be faces that nobody's caring for because they don't have an equally good foil to work off. It's less on the face than it is on the heel.
I agree. I know that a lot of people, they do say that it is more difficult to be a heel than a face, but they also have a lot of people that turns around that wants to be a heel, but they fail at it like bad, and it's like, and I've seen something to where people legit got upset that people booed them because they actually wanted to do their promo. They actually wanted to say what they wanted to say, but they couldn't because the crowd was booing them. So it's like, what do you want to do? Like,
the only thing that they're thinking about doing is advancing whatever storyline that they're currently in. If it all the responsibility is just advancing the storyline, listen to me, cheer for me.
That's why you say what you have to say when fans aren't around. That is the purpose of doing promos. That is the purpose. That, guess what? I don't need the crowd to get a response. Matter of fact, I'm gonna get you to hate me just by doing my promo. I'm sure that my promo for C3 got a ton of people upset.
There are a lot of views too.
Just because of what I said. Well, no fans around. I didn't need fan reaction to feed off of, and no. I know what I need to say. I know how I need to say it. And again, I'm not gonna say we were taught, but we sat under a learning tree when we watched guys cut promos. And I'm, one thing that I constantly stay proud of is if you ask me, you ask Marche, you ask Jazz, depending on Willie's mood, we one-hit wonders. We getting it done in the cross in one hit. We don't need to, do it 3 or 4 times, and no, we gonna get it done one shot. But people don't know. And as a heel, you don't need a promo inside the ring. because I'm gonna let everything that I said during the match speak for itself. If I set your face on fire, Chris, what more do I need to say with a microphone? I'm just
burn, baby, burn. That's what you need to say. Burn.
Feel the skin peeling off of you. That's how much I hate you. Girl.
Do I really need to say that?
Get the gasoline.
If I just threw a fireball on you, I don't need to say nothing else.
Yeah.
But some people just,
you know what? You could say that would get heat though.
You're right there, and then you like, I need a little extra. No, you don't. Leave it right there.
No, the worst thing you could do, the thing that you can say after when you set somebody on fire, you go back later on and just go, nah. Instant I done set you on fire. Nah.
All right, so Brandon brought up somebody, and I'm gonna bring up his comment about this person having heat, and he's talking about Dom heat. How do y'all feel about his heel work?
So initially, Dominic Mysterio had that X-Pac heat, not good heat, but
go away
I
heat.
just want you to go away heat.
Mm-hmm.
It all shifted when he did that whole "I went to jail" thing. That's I popped.
He did time.
When he did time in the county jail, and he had to go ahead and he had I popped right there. For me, that's when it shifted.
He did time. That was hilarious. I remember people was mad when he said that. Did he say he wants to be like the next Eddie Guerrero or something like that?
Yeah, he said that he wish Eddie was his dad instead of Ray. I was like, oh,
Now that hurt. Yeah,
that hurt.
That one hurt.
Yeah.
I agree. For me, for Dom, but see, for me, I can't even take him. To me, he's a comedic heel. Like again, when and that's me. When he came out and he said, so the story was he got arrested on a Friday night, and he was out on Sunday. Like, come on now, like. But now you just hardcore essay, you didn't spend time with killers. It's like, dude, you was in lockup.
But we know people like that. Like some people, like they went somewhere.
Of course. Yeah, man, I just got out. Yeah. And it's like, well, what you get arrested for? Got speeding tickets, man. Like yeah, but you a thug, right? You a thug.
I got arrested for folk, but my mama dropped the charges. What's up? What's up? What's up? What's up? She dropped them charges. They had to drop them cuffs. Yeah, I did it.
Now, see, even with the comedic heel stuff, you can still draw heat from that because there have been times where I've had to do the comedic heel role because of where you are, your placement on the show. Once again, it goes back to knowing where you are, knowing what your role is. Because if you are, say for instance, right before the main or somewhere sandwiched in between match 2 and 3, that's where your focus is. Your focus ain't not to have a bang up, knock down, drag out fight. Your job is to be filler and to entertain the crowd. So the best way to go ahead and do that is to go ahead and do the comedic heel thing. You can go ahead and still draw heat or advance whatever storyline you're doing just from doing that. The thing that separates Dominic Mysterio from a serious face is because Dominic does not have the physical imposiveness to necessarily be like, I mean, I see 9 times out of 10, if you walking down the street, I mean, if you saw Dominic Mysterio, like, man, I can kick his ass. So he's not going to be able to garnish the same type of heat like, say, a Braun Strowman would. Because Braun Strowman, if he says, I'm going to go ahead and give you these hands, you believe that man is finna give you these hands. But if Dominic Mysterio says he about to give you these hands, you about to laugh in that dude's face.
True. That also goes into like a good point about like believability, and it's not even just talking about from a fan's perspective of believability, but even as the wrestler, you know, as being that person that people will hate, and you're not trying to garnish love, or you don't want people's charity and things like that. And you guys touched on it earlier about how some people be like, hey, I just portray this character, buy my merch, follow me, subscribe to this, subscribe to that, and things like
Cheer for me.
like, hey, I was so much of a bad guy. I did a great job as a bad guy. Please support what I'm doing.
Dude, but you know what made great heels again, and you hate to beat a dead horse. Horseman merchandise still sells to this day.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't because, you know, they did this out of the other dude. It was simple. They just stayed themselves. You know, and we've all seen the Flair documentaries, you know, where he lived the lifestyle. Okay. You know, but that whole tight clique, that's what they did. And if you go back to the 80s, again, that's why I said, unfortunately, kayfabe is dead. There was no intermingling. You know, faces were in one locker room, heels were in another locker room. You didn't catch
even after the shows when you went to the bar, you
right?
didn't see faces and heels hanging together.
Right, you didn't see Dusty and the Road Warriors hanging out after they just threw a spike down his eye. You know, and people knew how to tell stories. Those were the days where, guess what? Okay, Dusty went to the hospital. He got a bandage on his eye. You know, he needs surgery. You didn't see Dusty out in public. Like, oh my God, can you imagine social media back then? Like, people been all upset. But I think the other thing that nobody has brought up, and I think is another reason, we live in the cancel culture. And you know, if you say certain things, if you do certain things, now you're labeled, and that gets you not booked. That gets you, you know, that gets you essentially canceled. You know.
Well, I think there's the obvious dickhead stuff you can't necessarily do. I think nothing racial, nothing overly sexual or anything else like that. But I mean, the cancel culture, I mean, that only applies if you're doing things like Velveteen Dream was doing, or if you're doing things like Michael Elgin was doing. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you're doing things that cause people to speak out against you in a way that is not in an entertainment forum or an entertainment platform, and you just start doing dickhead stuff. So I think there's a difference between operating yourself as a believable heel in the business and still doing your job and doing a great job, and then doing things like I said before, making fruit. That's when you would need to worry about cancel culture and things like that, because the low-hanging fruit is what's going to go ahead and garnish that. An intelligent face, you ain't never seen Jake Roberts cutting a promo using low-hanging fruit or ever have to worry about anything else that he was saying. And this dude flat out said that it felt good when he put his hands on Elizabeth. Now, I could cut the same promo and say if something happened with Britt Baker and everything else, and if she got so hurt during a match, I could cut the same promo and said it felt good that she got her. I said that for her to go down, it felt good to see her in pain. It felt good to see her on her hands and knees. And there's a way to get that heel heat with the things that you say and not worry about the cancel culture. I think it's only when you start doing the dickhead stuff, start doing the things that everyone understands is not coming from a place of entertainment, then you start running into those issues.
I do think that, and I'm not saying that people are too sensitive, because I do think that some people do get offended by certain things, you know, to each his own. But I do think that like some things could make people be like, okay, but that's too far or something like that. I mean, like even the age of social media, right? I know that like MJF, for example, and a couple other guys, they be saying some crazy tweet stuff and then they'll hurry up and delete it because, it's a touchy subject, but people be so quick to like screenshot and things like that. So it's like, even like you said, like what you said with Elgin and Dream, those are like private things that came to the public that was some trash stuff that they were doing and things like that. But even people's like opinions and things like that on their personal page or wrestling page, that could lead to people either being upset or having a quote unquote outrage for like their personal thoughts or anything like that.
Dude, how many times have we seen where somebody, again, they say something, and again, you go back, depending on where you're working. If they got decent and major sponsors working for them, and the sponsor tells you, no, we didn't sign up for this. This is not what we're supporting. Now, and this, as a promoter, you got to make that decision.
Mm-hmm.
Do you keep that person? Yeah, he just brought a lot of eyes to your product, but guess what? Do you keep him and lose, potential all this money coming in from your sponsor? Or do you cut one guy loose? Make the sponsor happy, and you just build up another heel or whatever. So
Yeah.
9 times out of 10, the guy's getting the ass.
But once again, if you're the type of promoter that's allowing a sponsor to wear your product, I mean, first of all, if you're doing the right things as a promoter, there shouldn't be a too far issue. There should be an issue to where, unless, once again, you're using that low-hanging fruit, doing those things that no intelligent heel would do to get heat. Then that's when those issues of possibly losing sponsorship would come into play. But talking about a guy like MJF, who would be the most classically trained heel that I've seen within the last 20 years. I don't think you can run into any situation whereas he would do something and you would maybe anger, and I could see him angering a sponsor on a smaller scale from him doing the same exact shtick that he does right now. But you're telling me that you would kibosh MJF because a sponsor got mad at something he was doing to get heat? No.
But again, you got to look at it from the situation. Again, if you're a small promotion and your sponsor is the one that is almost paying the bill, it's a different story versus you're Tony Khan, and guess what? You got a rich daddy, and you got major companies behind you, so you can kind of go to them like, hey, we can talk to him, calm him down. That's good. But if you got that one sponsor and he paying a lot of that money, that's a totally different thinking cap.
Okay, come on, let's be real. You and I both came from Windy, right? Pro Wrestling was a company that had sponsorships for pretty much every one of their shows. Okay. Now I can tell you first off from personal experience working at Windy City and working for the WAA. there are certain people that have caused sponsors to not be happy. The baseball Furies, Mitch Blake and his partner, whoever, those guys have gotten so many sponsorships taken away from companies on the independent scene. You didn't see Sam nor anybody else leave those guys where they were. So once again, you are money. You're not worried about the long draw, the long burn of a situation. You'll constantly be moving your product around because a true heel is going to get under people's skin. A true heel is going to push buttons and do the things that he needs to do to get that heat. And if you're not getting that, if you're not having people talking about you or talking about something you're doing, then what are you doing? What's the purpose anyway? If you're not getting that type of heat as a heel, then what are you doing? What's the purpose of even going out there?
So you're saying like basically protect the investment in the heel,
protect it in the overall product.
Okay.
Right? Short gain of this person, this sponsor bought a show or what have you. If my overall product is dependent upon this person playing his role, doing what he needs to do in his role, and if he is doing his role within the parameters that I've set forth for him, not using any low-hanging fruit, not doing anything that's outwardly offensive in a sexual or a racist or an uncomfortable way, I don't care if a sponsor is going to be upset about that, because true promoters aren't worried about the sponsorship is the extra to it. A promoter is going to have everything paid for and everything worked out, and the sponsorship is going to be a little extra on the other hand to grow the business or to add something to it. Sam DeCero never was worried about sponsorship unless the company flat out bought the show. If the company flat out bought the show, yeah, I'm worried about what's going on it.
Okay.
But if you're paying me for an ad in a magazine that we put out yearly, I don't care if you mad about whatever's going on my show because I already got your money.
Okay, but I'm glad that you did like clarify that, like about
because there's a difference.
Yeah.
There's a difference between somebody sponsoring a show and buying an ad.
Yeah. I'm glad you clarified, because that was going to be like the follow-up question, because I do remember when WWE was doing that Moolah Battle Royal, the Fabulous Moolah Battle Royal. But then all those stories came out, it was sponsored by Snickers. I think the whole show was sponsored by Snickers. And when the stories and reports came out about what Moolah did to the young women and stuff like that, and then even like the Dark Side of the Ring, I don't know if that episode came afterwards or before that. But what happened was
so it got moved because it was supposed to be toward the end of the season.
Okay.
And when the news story broke,
they
bumped it forward because it was the hot topic. And I already know where you're going,
But you get what I'm saying, that it got so much steam and attention that Snickers was like, hey, y'all got to do something about this. And they wind up just calling it the Women's Battle Royal.
Low-hanging fruit. Moolah and, Mae Young, the Fabulous Moolah had a horrible reputation for stealing the girls' money that she worked for, pimping the women out, doing different things that would cause a company to be taken aback. Mm-hmm. That's way different than doing normal traditional heel things to get heel heat. Those are we're talking about two different instances.
Yeah.
You guys are talking about instances where you have people where mainstream media or mainstream news touch upon what you guys what's going on in that particular company, and as a result of that will draw negative heat to that company.
No, I was just showing that like as an example. I wasn't saying like, oh, okay, like, you get what I'm saying? Because when you clarified about the sponsoring an ad and sponsoring the show, like you're saying two different things. And I was just saying like how Snickers, use their play in the game about that situation with Moolah and stuff like that, because it wasn't like a storyline. It was just a match that was used that they used Moolah's name on and how they changed that. That's all. It wasn't like, oh, well, you know, it was like something Moolah did like as a wrestler, but like the personal thing. So
yes, it was because of the mainstream attention that Moolah had attracted from her outside activities from the ring. Now, I guarantee you, had it been a situation, once again, and I hate to keep bringing up The Miz. If The Miz was doing something, if doing traditional heel stuff that he does in the WWE every week, do you really think that Snickers would have a problem, or anybody would have a problem with him doing? Would it rub people the wrong way to whereas you would think they would lose focus ship? I think that's what we're talking about. We're talking about going too far. When you start using the low-hanging fruit, using ridiculous aspects to get heat when it's not necessary. You know what I mean?
Okay, so do y'all remember real quick Abraham Washington? You remember how he got let go because he was the manager of the Primetime Players at one point, and
vaguely
he used to have a microphone. Live like microphone headset, and the reason why he got fired was he said that Titus O'Neil is like Kobe Bryant at a Colorado hotel. He's unstoppable. Y'all remember that? This was live.
That is low hanging fruit.
Okay.
and again, I get what there. We all are in this business and we know that line. I think sometimes some people just don't know how to work without it. So they say it. They don't, they know, oh, well, it'll get a reaction. I can get this crowd to react. Watch this. And it's like, do you necessarily need to go there? Do you? There are things that, again, I know I can do. And I know, guess what? I'd get chairs thrown at me. I'd get dirty diapers and pop cans. But at the end of the day, is it worth it if it hurts the company more than it helps the company? For me.
Gotcha.
Because I don't want to see, all it takes is one person. And when I talked about the council culture, essentially that's what I'm talking about. It takes one person. It just takes one person to like that match. And that person, and again, we live in a society now where this can kill you quicker than you can build up your career. I can go on here right now and say something, and everything that I've worked for over the past 20 years can be gone in a matter of minutes. It can be misscrewed. It can be taken out of context. It can be just turned around. And guess what? It's gone. But it took one person. So when going too far for me, again, I know what to say. I know what to do. I know my room. It's easy. But I'm not about to go work a room in Nashville and say some outlandish stuff that I know I can say and know I'm going to get a reaction.
Like I'm gonna set all y'all children on fire.
See, that's Atlas. I let Atlas go. I let Atlas go say that stuff. I'm not about to say it, Because guess what? By the time I get to Chicago, back to Chicago, I'm done. Like, dude, literally, I don't know if Atlas know this guy, and I'm not about to put his name out there, but I literally, Chris, you probably know who I'm talking about. There was a guy in the early part of the year had said some things. In a matter of days, his career was dead. And it was just like, wow, like, that's it. Like, you know, and he tried to backtrack and all this other, it just didn't happen. And the guy's gone now.
Yeah.
And it's like, you know, first of all, everything you want to say, don't say it. I'm just, again,
you probably shouldn't say everything that comes to your mind. You probably shouldn't say everything.
Right, don't.
Keep it to yourself.
You know, right. And some things you should keep to yourself.
Keep to yourself.
I sometimes I say some stuff. I go back and be like, but I got a pop for it. But
you know, but we live where everybody, and that's the crazy part. Remember, Facebook used to be where you could say and put out whatever you wanted to, and then it got limitations, and then you got Twitter, you know, and it was like, wow. And really on Twitter, you can say whatever you want to. But I got a question. He just curious, trying to learn about. Well, Kate Chapman, if you don't know what heat is, there's a book called Wrestling for Dummies 101.
If you don't know what heat is, that means I didn't do very well training you, sir. Because you should know very well what heat is.
He the last person that should ask about heat, because he knows how to get it.
You got under the learning tree. Welcome.
Because Backwoods is one of those dudes that I have watched grow. That, oh my God, his presence alone brings heat. Oh Lord, we bringing everybody out tonight. Lord have mercy.
Oh Lord, is that Damian Dunn?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh Lord, have mercy. That's the original Atlas clone now.
Everybody, but you know, when you brought up this question, you know, dude, we can sit on here for the next 4 hours. Keep hearing your daughter make plate eggs or whatever she making over there. Tell her I need a plate. And she over there cooking or whatever. Sound like she cooking.
She picking up stuff she not supposed to pick up.
Oh,
she messed up my toy collection.
I see this show gonna end quick. That's heat right there. That's heat. That's a different kind of heat.
But as far as the going too far thing, I really have not seen too many. I mean, from the wealth of knowledge that I have of going back, of seeing stuff through the 60s and 70s and seeing, you know, guys, you know, I mean, you had Dr. D. David Schultz slap the piss out of guys. For some people, that would have been, you know, going too far. You had, I mean, for me, when you talk about going too far, the only thing that would be going too far would be the low-hanging fruit.
Okay.
The racial stuff, the stuff that easily can be identified as something mean-spirited or something outside the realm of entertainment. Other than that, as a heel, everything goes. Everything goes.
Now, I don't know if y'all remember this guy. This is Ember Moon's husband. And a couple years ago, he had actually shirts that said "King of the Black Women," and a lot of people was upset with it because his wife is a black woman, but a lot of people were upset because of that kind of shirt. Would that be deemed too far, or
No, because
okay?
if you look at, so you also have to look at what certain people's reputation is
Okay.
outside the business. And whether you know it or not, Ember Moon ain't got the reputation of being a real sister. So that's kind of par for the course. Because a real sister, you couldn't see somebody, if Kong was with a white guy and Kong's man decided to wear a shirt like that, Key is going to immediately check that dude. Key immediately checked freaking Bubba the Love Sponge.
Oh
You
yeah.
ain't going to have that type of same situation with like an Ember Moon.
She checked Matt's wife too, and I remember she threw her bags out the locker room.
Like, real talk. You ain't finna have, you know what I'm saying, a real sister you ain't finna have that type of debate with her. You know what I'm saying? Something like that. Swole, I mean, okay, I don't necessarily think Big Swole is one of the greatest workers on the ring, but I can definitely say that's a real sister. So you ain't finna go ahead and have her do misrepresenting like that. I mean, she was Cedric Alexander, but I mean, you ain't gonna have her misrepresenting that way.
Mm-hmm.
So if you got somebody like a real sister would have checked, and I said that's the reason why I said no, because a real sister would have checked that dude before he came out the house, coming in the door, but like, no, that's not the heat that you think it is about to be. You might not want to wear that shirt.
Mm-hmm. Got you.
To answer Kay's question, sometimes you spit on people anyway, sir. So I chalk it up as a working hazard. You know, people pay when they pay for the front row tickets. They kind of understand what they're getting up close and in person. So now, as long as you don't spit it directly in their face, we good. Really putting gum in the fan's hand, that ain't going too far. That's nothing.
When I worked for the LWF, there was a guy there who works by the name of Supreme. He was a Supreme Aryan at first, but he went by Supreme. He flat out hopped the loogie and spit in the girl's face at Bourbon Street. I will remember that. I will never forget that. Now that I can definitely say is going a little bit too far. He still got a heel pop for it, but that was something I would definitely say was going a little bit too far.
And here's the other thing that nobody ever talks about, and I talked about kayfabe earlier, and here I'm getting ready to break it. But is it going too far when you have a plant?
No.
Because see, that's the thing. If nobody knows that person is a plant, if Classic is sitting by ring and nobody know who Classic is, and this is his first time being seen, and I spit in his face, yeah, I'm gonna get the reaction from the crowd, and yeah, he already knew it was coming, but again, for me, if I do something like that, that's long-term storytelling.
Correct. And the plant is in on the situation before you even go out there. If you have a plant in the audience, you can go ahead and use that plant for heel heat. Like I use my wife as a plant all the time. All the time. I will go out and work my wife and in the crowd as a heel and get boos from her, and everybody around her. And it's the same psychology as you would use if you have a little 5-year-old girl. Everybody around the one person that you're working is automatically going to be drawn into what you're doing because they want to be that focus. Everybody wants to be the focus of attention, whether it be good attention or bad attention. So even if you do have a face in that crowd, a plant in that crowd, and you go off and you hock a loogie straight in that person's face, you'll still get that face pop, but I guarantee you there's going to be somebody in that crowd that's going to come up to you. I bet you wouldn't do that to me. I bet you wouldn't hock a loogie in my face, wanting to get that interaction with you and be a part of the show. Everybody wants to be part of the show.
What about a kid plant?
Same thing.
I saw one where a guy acted like he was hitting the guy moved out the way and hit the kid, and the kid fell. Like that.
I've seen a guy full on super kick a kid in the face at the chair. He goes to give give the guy a move or give him a big boot, and the kid is sitting there. He was maybe like 16, 17 or something at the time, but he goes to give a guy a big boot, and the guy moves out of the way, and he kicks the kid in the face. So, once again, it's going to draw people in. You're still going to get that, oh, crap reaction, and it's used, like Red said, as a device for storytelling. That's an old school trick. That's something that was used in the NWA a long time ago in World Class and everything else. If you look at anything that Jim Cornette did when he was running Smoky Mountain and he was running the Mid-South Territory, he would tell a story about when he was training Santino Marella, and I forget who it was that came. I think it was a Boogeyman or somebody.
It was a Boogeyman.
But it was supposedly somebody. Yeah, it was. Yeah, somebody was supposed to be reacting and running away and everything else. And Santino was supposed to be in the audience as a plant, and he didn't do what he was supposed to do, and got smacked as a result of it. Those promoters traditionally will use plants because of what they can do. What the reaction that they have if it's done used in a correct way. If you use a little kid that way, guaranteed you're going to have a bunch of little kids that's going to be all up in people's faces. And I'll give you a great for instance from the last show that we did. I worked the one little girl at the last C3 show and maybe had 15 kids around me from working one child. Same philosophy. Same psychology. Okay, I'm driving, so I can't read what.
I got you. He said, "I love when we have a plant. It's always my favorite." They don't care for it too much because they don't like the ass whooping I put on them. LOL.
Yeah. And say for instance, once again, and here I go, get ready to break kayfabe. We talked about Willie. When Willie came on last, I used Willie as a plant. And the last show that I worked before he got back into the ring, because there was a situation where the promoter wanted something to happen that wouldn't look believable, in my opinion. So the best way to make it look believable is to have a plant and have that plant who's more believable than the actual person in the match do something, and it turned out better than what the promoter wanted anyway. So using plants is something that can be a positive, but at the same time it can also be a negative, because if you got somebody who doesn't know what their role is as a plant and want to go a little bit further, they can go ahead and focus off of the product, because they're trying to go ahead and bring the focus on themselves.
And since you brought him up, we talk about going too far. There's an infamous promo that's, I believe, still out there from one Mr. Richardson. When him and a group of African Americans, and they were not the Soul Touchers or Team Dammit. Let's put that out there. And they went up north on the north side and they said some very pro things to the wrong crowd. And it was like, yeah, we love this idea. No, we don't. Like that was cut off right then and there. Like promo was done, and they were like, that's the end of that faction right there. And it was like literally done. You know, and it's like sometimes, you know, again, we talk about social media. It don't always say what's on your mind. You don't have to put it out there. Same way in wrestling. You know, when you going to cut a promo, you don't always have to say how you really feel. Now, if some people, guess what? It works for some. It don't work for all. This ain't a cookie cutter business. When Atlas brought up Coronet and Smoky Mountain, think about it. New Jack said some outlandish stuff.
God, New Jack in Mid-South. Oh my God,
dude, he got away with some stuff, but he stated that, you know, he wasn't worried about a fight. You know, he already had some homicides to his belt. So
he gave a shout out to OJ on the promo. He said, "Shout out to OJ." I remember the video.
Dude, man, when I first saw that promo, I sat there like, they can say this at Smoky Mountain.
Now I've shared a locker room with New Jack and have gone to the strip club with this cat a couple times, and I can safely say what you see is what you get with Jerome. That dude was, rest in peace. That cat was wild.
Yeah, but again, that's the thing. It worked for him. It ain't gonna work for everybody.
Okay, so you can see New Jack tried to promo like that.
There's a reason why. Yes, we like you said, rest in peace. We loved him in Smoky Mountain, but we loved him more in ECW, and that's why he never got in WWE. Because can you imagine New Jack with a Vince mic?
Oh my God!
Like they'd
have been fined every week.
Fine, they'd have been pulled off there.
They'd have been fined every week. That brother there.
Dude, they'd have been that. They'd have then been that program where, like, have you seen WWE? Yeah, they come on Sunday mornings at 2:00 on channel 18. You know, like.
But like you said though, it worked for him, and that man was living grace. That man did so much stuff and either got away with it or stuff got dropped. But it worked for him.
And circling back to what we were talking about before, as far as believability is concerned, New Jack was a type of heel that, and we can talk about him because he was in the same yoke as a Bad News Brown. Those guys, you believed what the hell they was like. If they said, "I'm about to put my foot in your face," you believed they was getting ready to put their foot in your face.
Mm-hmm.
Psychology, working, kayfabe, everything aside, you believed everything that they were saying. Same thing with Jake. There was an era of believability about what was coming out of their mouth. Therefore, when it was time to put a program together with these guys, it's a lot easier for these guys to draw heat because New Jack is saying things like, "I want to go ahead and thank OJ for going ahead and beating the white women up." Like OJ, I can definitely see New Jack wearing a Britt Baker.
Black he'd have bought the whole stock, dude. That'd have been
the whole thing. So so I mean, you can have guys like, and he would have made money doing that. So when you got, so I can understand, Joseph saying that, that's not his life. He want to do anything else like that. But me, give me that heat. You can't buy that type of heat, bro. I mean, in the wrestling business, if you think about if as a heel, if you were able to generate that amount of heat without saying a word, you write your own ticket.
Mm-hmm.
You booked every week.
Classic.
You ain't got to do nothing.
Classic. I need a favor.
What's up?
On June 10th at 10, if Atlas J. Horn comes out with that shirt on, I need a picture. Somebody snap that picture from me. I need that picture. I need that picture.
So he'll get it. I did want to speak about one thing too. I'm gonna put Kay's comment, but I do want to speak about one person that I felt like got the short end of the stick. This is a while ago, and I saw like an article about him a couple days ago. Do y'all remember Muhammad Hassan?
Yes.
With the Davari.
Oh, he's a principal now.
He's a principal. Yeah, that's the thing that came up like last week, or they were saying it
last week.
But I remember his promos, and I enjoyed. And I was a kid too. I enjoyed it because to me it did make sense on their side because of how people was portraying them after 9/11. But then the stuff started happening to when they were building his character up, and then the bombings happened like the day after they did the thing with the Undertaker, and they wound up basically taking it out on him. And they basically let him go because of his character and what they had him portraying. And he was doing a great.
And the worst part about it is the cat was Italian.
I was about to say that too. He was Italian, but you could tell that he gave his all in the character that they wanted him to do and to portray and everything like that. And to me, he was so serious with it that when a tragedy actually happened and people were upset, he took the brunt of it. And he had to take the brunt out of the whole thing.
Dude, every now and then, sometimes in this business, reality slaps you in the face.
Mm-hmm.
And that was one of those times where it happened. I don't know if most people remember, but I was in Desert Storm. So to be in Desert Storm and the All-American Sergeant Slaughter switched sides, and now he's an Iraqi sympathizer. Like, dude. And here was somebody I really didn't care for as a kid. Like, I didn't like Sergeant Slaughter. Thought he was over the top for me. I didn't like Sergeant Slaughter till he got on G.I. Joe.
Right.
And
beating up Nemesis Enforcer, that was man.
But now, oh my God, this great American, he's with our what? And I'm over here fighting for my what? Like, dude, sometimes, as they say, life imitates art. And it's a fine line. It's such a fine line. And sometimes we don't realize that line, while you might not try to cross it and you ask when is too far, sometimes you just happen to walk over and you look back and you've already crossed that line.
That's good.
You've already crossed that line. And sometimes, again, it just depends on who you're working for. Sometimes, but 9 times out of 10, it bites you in your butt. And guess what? Like you said, Muhammad was a great character. But because of everything happened and the tragedy that took place, like, essentially, this dude had to stop altogether.
Yeah, they halted everything because he was in a program with the Undertaker. He was he was in a program with the Undertaker.
Everything had, like, this brother he off TV and wasn't they couldn't even repackage him It was like, like dude got his we wish you endeavors check like that night.
Like we don't even call us no more. Like
like bro, it's been fun, bro. It's been real.
Like it's not you, it's the situation, but don't call us no more.
Dude, don't call. How they call for their itinerary? And like, all right, what's next week's itinerary? His was like unemployment line.
They deleted his company email. He couldn't even check. He was gone. Oh man, but no, I'm not laughing at him because, like I said, like he did get a bad hand. He did his job very good. You get what I'm saying? He did a very good job at it. It's just the situation, like you said, the situation that happened. And it's still, and to this day, it's those kind of things. It touches people a certain way. You get what I'm saying? Yeah. So it was, and like I said, like just how they said how similar it was, and then how they had to turn around and edit the whole show and do this and that, and then it was just like, and then now he's like a principal, and it's like, I'm sure he's happy, now and stuff like that. But it's just crazy that you had this dream to be in the WWE and stuff like that, and you low key was making waves, and then a situation that didn't had nothing to do with wrestling just came and derailed it.
Dude, look, I mean, when you think about it, just as you stated, but go deeper. Think about the grind and the years he put in to get to that point. There was let's be honest, there were two brands probably at that time, but again, you could see The Rock on Monday and Friday. It wasn't no big deal. Wasn't no brand split. So here's this dude, you made it to the main roster.
Yeah.
The main roster. And now you're in a main program. You have an actual program. You're not going out there jobbing. You're in a real program. And life happens and it's all gone. And it's like, that's just one of those unseen, unfortunate situations. But at that point, it wasn't him taking it too far. It was unfortunately, just life and what happened in the
unfortunate events, right? So, yeah. That was like one of the things I did want to talk about.
Or just basically him operating in the parameters. Like I said, that's and he lost his job because he was operating within the parameters that was set forth by his company. Did an excellent job, got a super amount of heat, and still lost his job because of it, and has never been seen. So most people, when they screw up, they one gimmick, they years later, sometime later, they get a second chance at it. They'll get a second part of another gimmick. That cat never used. That was the first time you see him. That was the last time.
Last time. Nah, yeah. It's like I said, it sucked, and I remember it just so quick because I used to watch SmackDown and stuff like that. I used to watch the stuff, and then it was just like, dang, what happened to this dude? And then when I got older, I would actually look up bios and wrestling stuff to understand more things. This was even before I became a wrestler. And then I read about it. I was like, oh man, this dude got the short end of the stick for real. And I was like, he did his job. I did. This is the thing with him. I didn't like him because of the heel stuff, but at the same time, the man was making sense on his promos. He really was. Him and Daivari. They both were making very good sense. It's like, I hate you, but you making me think right now.
I hate you, but touche.
Yeah. You got a point. You got a point. People treating you wrong, but you can't treat everybody else wrong. But yeah, you right. And then as soon as that was it, you see the Undertaker get choked out 1 week, then the next week, I believe he gave him a last ride, and that was like the last time we seen that man in some wrestling tights with some boots on.
Dude, we talked about repackaging. Normally, you can go back down to developmental, throw a hood on,
a mask, something.
You know, they was just like,
no,
bro. See you when we never see you.
Yeah.
But the funny part is, we talk about what makes a great heel, and everything he did up to that point. A real heel will make you question your beliefs, in a sense. Think about it. He made you think. Like, he got a point, you know, like he has a legit point, and you didn't like him, but he made you stop and think, is what he's saying true? You know,
touche.
like,
yeah, like I got you. I still want you to get beat up, but at the same time,
like maybe what you're saying is true. You know,
your anger is just put somewhere. It's put in the wrong place. And to me, yeah. And like I said, the do suck. Like, who knows what would have happened if none of that other stuff would have happened, because it's WWE. So, but still. So,
touche.
Yeah, touche.
I mean, dude, some of the best heels in our business have come when they make you think. Recently, think about the Iron Sheik. I don't know if you guys watched the bio on the Sheik, but when you live the life he lived, and then he came over here, but when he couldn't get over as he was actually, again, he's an Olympic gold medalist, you know, but he couldn't get over.
He couldn't get over the Magnificent, so he had to become,
you know. So when he became the Sheik, like, dude, like the heat he got, because all he kept talking about was, I ran number one. And people hated that, dude. Like, because you were hitting something close to home. And people hated that. For me, Atlas keeps bringing up Jake. I don't like face Jake. I hate face Jake. Because his best promos are when he's a heel. Yeah. And for me, watching him as a heel and then him disappearing for a while and then coming back at the King of the Ring and quoting Bible scriptures, like, dude, I was done. Like, no, go sit down, dude. You were not in my Sunday school class.
It was the same thing with Sid Vicious when he came. Sid Vicious cuts awesome heel promos. But as a face, as Sid Justice, no. Just go back and play softball, bro. Go play softball.
Like, I just believe a heel can touch a spot inside of you that it makes you question sometimes what you feel and what you believe and what you think.
Now, I tried to be a face. I've tried to be a face. I generally don't like people, so it's a lot easier to understand how to press buttons, but it actually sickens me to a great degree trying to get people to like me, because it seems like pandering, you know what I mean? And when it comes across with a lot of faces that way, that they're pandering to the audience, which is why a lot of them, you don't see a lot of lifetime faces. Think about how many guys that have been lifetime faces in the wrestling industry. There's only been one that I can think of that was a face from start to finish, and it didn't come off as pandering, and that's Ricky Steamboat. Anybody else that, you know, came off as originally was a face, had that cheesy cheer for me type thing, and it came off as disingenuous, and it came off as cheesy. So when you have the mentality of I don't give a damn, it's a lot easier to go ahead and get those reactions. That's, I think, what Red was talking about as far as Jake was concerned. Jake's heel promos always had the aura of I don't give a damn about you. I don't give a damn about your mama. None of that. But whereas him coming and doing the whole John 3:16 thing, it came off as pandering, which is why, and it wasn't genuine with himself, which is why that crap didn't last long.
Yeah.
You know who was one of the best underestimated heels ever, and he didn't have to say a word? Rick Rude. And Rick Rude got his heat for one thing.
Just the gyration, baby.
No, right. He can gyrate, but think about it.
Airbrush.
His tights said everything.
Yeah.
Whose wife was it on the tights?
Jake's.
Dude, but it just wasn't Jake's. He didn't care who he was going against. He went against Savage, and he had Elizabeth put on there. Like, dude, his tights said it all. Think about the mindset that I don't have to say a word. My gear is going to speak for me. I don't have to cut a promo. And he in WWE, he had the best, Bobby the Brain. But really, Heenan didn't need to say a word.
Mm-hmm.
All you had to do was look at his tights, and you hated Rick Rude. You hated him because you knew what he was saying. Even if it wasn't a female, think about it. He had not won the Intercontinental title, and he was so bold to place the Intercontinental title on his tights as to say, I'm winning this tonight. There's nothing you can do about it. You might as well get used to seeing it around my waist. Like, wow. Now, I've loved Rick Rude since World Class. So, but in WWF, he took it to a new heights. And for me, he didn't have to say a word. His gear got every point across. How many people can do that? Where your clothing, your outfit speaks for itself.
But it goes back to what I say all the time as far as being a heel. Less oftentimes is more. You don't have to go above and beyond. You ain't got to be flying balls the handle doing this with all these faces and everything else and slobbering. You ain't got to do all that. If you think about the guys that truly made an impact in the business as far as their character, as far as how they carried themselves, it wasn't the guys that were the over-top freak show type. I mean, yeah, sure, you had Randy Savages and everything else like that. But at the same point in time, you also had guys like Jake. You also had guys like Rick Rude. You also had guys that could speak to you like this and get their point across and be completely believable. Or even not even say a word. Just show up with tights and be completely believable and take over the world.
Dude, think about when the Road Warriors first came to be. Dude, you knew as soon as Iron Man played, whoever was standing there was dead. And they were heels.
Yeah.
They were heels. And you didn't have time to cheer the faces, because by the time the music ended, the match was over. And then it kept going that, oh, well, Let's see what they can do as faces. It didn't matter. You got the same two dudes. They doing the same thing. And when they talked, like, oh my God. And it wasn't, that didn't come till WWF. But when they talked, you were like, well, I ain't gonna lie. I was scared to find out what part of Chicago these dudes were from. Like, I did not want to find out. Like, I didn't want, hey, let's go take a trip on Northside. Okay.
They said these dudes was on Halsted. Let me stay my ass off of Halsted.
Right. Like, I'm not going to that part of Halsted. I'm straight. I'm good. Their look said it all. But if I can't tell who the heel, who the baby, when I look at them, come on, we got problems.
No, I got y'all. I got it. I understand. What I do want to say is I do want everybody that listened or will listen that's not live to just try to soak this knowledge in from C-Red and Atlas. I'm not very familiar with heel work. I've only been heel in one match that's all I'm going to say about that match. It's only one time. So
one time.
One time out of 11 years, just one time. So yeah, we'll talk about that match. But I did want two guys who know how to develop character, how to get heat, how to get the boos and stuff and like that. Don't care about getting boos because that's the goal, is to, get under people's skin and stuff like that. I did want you guys' insight on it more than anything.
Yeah, the psychology of the business is lost without good heels. And the sad thing about it, like Red said, kayfabe is dead. I will dare to say psychology in a lot of ways is dead because we were taught certain things in the business that if you look at TV now, they don't follow those same things. Like in a tag match, if you're taking heat, you don't make your own comeback. But I've seen so many guys in tag matches getting their brains beat in, and then all of a sudden Hulk up, and now they kicking everybody's ass. Yeah. How you doing? You just got your ass whooped for the last 20 minutes. Now you make your own comeback. What's the purpose of even having a partner?
Yeah. I don't even see ring cutoffs as much. Like I used to love ring cutoffs.
Yeah, to me, it's like, what is the use of having psychology if you're not going to follow psychology? That's the reason why our business is looked on and laughed at and treated like the joke it is and has been, because guys don't take what we're doing seriously enough to study it, to do the things necessary to not be a mark for themselves, but be a mark for the business.
That's true. But I appreciate you guys, Tom, as always. Like this came up yesterday.
Came up yesterday because you said it. Now watch. I'm gonna show y'all how I went ahead. Well, earlier on, I was in the middle. Like my own co-workers know. I will get heel heat. I don't care. I will wear a t-shirt with a white woman with a black eye and a fat bit. Matter of fact, I might go ahead and find a white punch in the face to go just so I won't get sued by Britt Baker for having her face on
the shirt. But no, I did want you guys, especially because of that post and stuff like that. You do have a lot of people that call themselves heel, claim themselves as heel, say they love being heel, but aren't a heel. More like a heel, no, like hell no, you're not that. But and I do feel like with everything talking about psychology basically being gone and kayfabe being gone and stuff like that, investment is dang near gone. Character development is dang near gone and stuff like that. It's only in a few small corners. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I do appreciate you guys' time. Thanks for spending time with me. I hope people in the chat who watch this, they learn from it, because you guys definitely said a lot of stuff, a lot of great things, dropped a lot of knowledge, learning tree. So I appreciate you guys. You want to say bye, Cam, because you're over here. You want to say bye?
Bye.
He already walked through.
I know.
That's why
I know.
I smiled out.
No, I told him fight him.
I know. He
Can't fight my Cam.
Atlas gonna fight you. Yeah. But once again, I appreciate you guys. Guys who are listening and watching, make sure you subscribe to the Take It Home Podcast YouTube channel. Make sure you subscribe to the C3 Ultimate Wrestling channel. Atlas will be here at 10 to show of all shows. He's going to show you what it's about.
We'll show you. And I bet not run into no Dick Justins neither.
You comment about that man being thick. Leave that man body alone.
Look, Just Amazing used to be just skinny. Now he look like he been in the Hamburger Helper and been living happy.
Hey man, first of all,
KO, that's why I want to fight KO Kendrick. Real talk. She ruined my Just Amazing. Now he's fat and happy and married, and so therefore I want to fight the one that made him happy. KO Kendrick.
I wish you ain't say Hamburger Helper because I'm hungry now. But
go talk to Justin. I'm sure he know where something to get.
But I do appreciate you. I can't believe this, man. I'm sorry. Hey, I hope you guys.
Healed, baby. Back healed.
All right, everybody have a great and blessed day. This is Chris Classic. Thank you, C Red. Thank you, Atlas, and let's take it home.
Peace.